happy to welcome you here. I would like to introduce you to a few information about our permanent exhibition, which starts here under the rice barn from the island of Sulawesi. This rice barn was built around about in 1935, and about 50 years later in the 1980s, a scientific group from Raden went to Indonesia to study traditional architecture, and they actually met with the owning family of this rice barn that you see here behind me now. They talked to the owner, and he told them that he would be happy to sell the rice barn to raise some money for a new rice storage depot, and later on he was even able to send another child to school and pay the study fees. So this is the largest object in the whole collection of the Rautenstrauch Joest Museum, and this is one reason why it's here in the foyer welcoming our guests to our permanent exhibition. The other reason is that it can be connected to all the topics that we address in the permanent exhibition, which runs under the title Men in His Roles. So in the permanent exhibition you actually can see more than almost 300 objects from different islands in Indonesia, from Java of course, from Bali, but also from the Moluccan Islands, from Sumatra and from Borneo and Sulawesi. The permanent exhibition stretches over 3,600 square meters and shows first a critical view of European expansion and how Europeans actually colonized large parts of the world. And in the second part, it deals with the question of how people in different parts of the world live and how they deal with their clothing, how they deal with which religions they follow, or how, for example, they also deal with death and what their imaginations of the afterlife are. And throughout these different topics we show objects from Indonesia, which also comprise two large objects, like a cremation tower from Bali and the masks of Pameran and Rangga, also from Bali, that were made by specialists in 2006 specifically for our permanent exhibition.
Yeah, it is an exhibition about 500 years of resistance, but you can imagine that it is impossible to speak about 500 years of resistance in the Global South in one exhibition. So we decided to have chapters, thematic chapters, one chapter about revolts and organized resistance, a second chapter about subversive resistance, because a lot of historians say also this idea of subversive resistance, everyday resistance, was even more important than at the end colonized countries got independent. Third chapter is about writing your own history, the right on your own history, and that also writing was a very important instrument to resist, but also the idea of how is history constructed. Yeah, this is our problem. So how is history, and that history is told, history is more often told from a very Western perspective, and that is what we. So what does this mean when you open up and you rewrite a new global history? And that is the third chapter. Fourth chapter is about trauma and about also the impact of 500 years of colonialism on today's generations, and for the traumatic experience of colonization. And then the fifth chapter is actually about resilience, the art of resilience, how people have overcome all this, and also the reactivation of traditions, community museums, but also the idea of healing, or the reinvention of tradition which has been forbidden under colonial rule, for example. But also the fifth chapter is also about what could it be for us in the future, this kind of museum with such kind of hope.